Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the City of Goleta's Lunch and Learn webinar, Electrify Goleta, Heat Pumps, and Electrification Incentives. My name is Jason Scott Sheets, and I'm currently serving as the Civic Spark Sustainability Fellow for the City of Goleta. I'm looking forward to sharing information with you today about the city's latest activities to empower home electrification in our community and highlight the technology and the programs that are available to help make your homes cleaner and more efficient in their energy use. Before we get started, just touch on a quick housekeeping item. The webinar is being recorded and it will be made available to attendees afterward, likely early next week, and in future on the City of Goleta's YouTube channel. The slides from this presentation will also be shared. We'll start here with a brief overview of the agenda for today. We'll begin with a short introduction to our speakers and then talk about the instigating event for this session, which is the City of Goleta's new heat pump permit fee waiver program. We'll follow this with a look at heat pump devices and the technology that's behind them, along with an overview of electrification as policy and why it's a significant focus for California and Goleta. Then we'll learn about several other programs and opportunities that are available to Goleta's residents to support and enable their home electrification projects. Finally, wrap everything up with time for Q&A from our audience at the end. As we proceed through the program, please feel free to submit any questions you have through the Q&A feature, which is accessible through the options across your Zoom screen, top or bottom, depends. And we'll be able to pose them to our speakers at the end. If you'd prefer to ask a question verbally, you can please use the raise hand feature at that point, and we'll be able to call on you to unmute and speak. And speaking of our speakers, we'll take a moment to introduce them now, starting with myself. Once again, my name is Jason Scott Sheets, and I'm the Civic Spark Sustainability Fellow working with the City of Goleta's sustainability team. I'll be speaking about our new heat pump permitting program, the technology behind heat pump devices, and why we're working to support and encourage electrification in our city. And I'm joined by two colleagues representing our local partners in electrification. Spencer Brandt is a community relations manager with Central Coast Community Energy, or 3CE, which is the not-for-profit public agency that serves as the default electricity provider for customers in the city of Goleta. Naomi Newman is the climate and energy program specialist with the Tri-County Regional Energy Network, or 3C-REN. You'll learn more about them, their organizations, and the great opportunities that they can offer to help Goletans electrify later in the program. I'm also joined by my colleagues on Goleta's sustainability team, Dana Murray, our sustainability manager, and Angeline Fauché, our sustainability analyst. And we appreciate your support as well in pulling all of this together. With that said, we can begin our program, and we'll start with a local update. I'm pleased to announce that the City of Goleta has officially launched our new heat pump permit fee waiver program. This is a policy that's intended to encourage and support home electrification by reducing the existing financial barriers that exist to accessing relevant technology. In this program, a permit application for projects that are installing electric heat pump water heaters and heat pump heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or HVAC systems, are eligible to waive the fees that they would normally pay for those permits. In order to qualify, a project must install an electric heat pump in a residential property, either single or multifamily, and it must also be installing the electric heat pump appliance at the time of replacement for an existing gas-powered appliance. Time of replacement here refers to the optimal or the scheduled moment to replace an appliance before it's allowed to degrade and break down. This pilot program has been budgeted an initial total of $10,000 for its operation. Process-wise, permit applications may be submitted through the city's website, as displayed here. To help your application get reviewed and processed efficiently, you should make sure to include the specifications for both the heat pump system that's being installed and the existing system that's being replaced, so it can be determined that the systems involved fall within the parameters of the policy. Now here we have a more detailed breakdown of the permits and the fees that are involved. These can vary based on what kind of device is being installed. If you're working on a heat pump water heater, a plumbing permit is required, and in some cases, an electrical permit may also be needed. For projects with a heat pump HVAC system, both a mechanical and an electrical permit are included. Each of these permits includes a minimum fee and an issuance fee, with a minimum fee costing $82.50 and issuance fees costing $33.50, totaling $116 for each. These fees may potentially change with an upcoming fee schedule update on July 1st of this year, 2026. And if your heat pump installation meets the program's requirements, then you are eligible to knock these costs off of your overall project's bill. Now, it may be that not everyone is familiar with heat pumps and the technology that's behind them. So what exactly are they? Well, put it simply, a heat pump is a device that's designed to move heat around in order to heat water or space rather than generating heat as many standard appliances have done for decades. Heat pumps are experiencing a recent surge in popularity and interest. Occasionally, they face a bit of skepticism as a kind of new tech on the block, but in fact, the technology isn't new. It was conceptualized as far back as the 1850s, and it's actually been in home use since at least the 1960s. Heat pumps are powered by electricity, and they use refrigerant, a compressor, and indoor and outdoor coils on the device to collect and release heat from external air as that refrigerant is compressed and expanded through the heat pump's operational cycle. Again, somewhat simply. Now, this particular technological approach has a few advantages. Most notable is the jump in efficiency for a heat pump versus a traditional heating appliance. Again, simply speaking, efficiency measures how much energy is put into a system and how much comes out. When you consume fuel or generate electricity for heating, some efficiency is lost in that process. Take a gas furnace for an example, which will typically achieve an efficiency rating between 80 to 98%. But because a heat pump will move heat around instead of generating it, they require less energy input in order to achieve their outcomes. And this enables heat pump HVAC systems, in this case, to commonly achieve efficiency ratings between 100 and 300%, using 1 unit of energy to get 1 or 2 or even 3 units of heat back. They also happen to be safer than gas-powered appliances. Because they use electricity instead of gas or fuel, they remove the risks associated for gas leaks or combustion or open flame hazards. They're also ideally suited for warmer climates, which Goleta happens to have, because they move heat from indoors to outdoors and vice versa. So the closer those areas are in temperature, the quicker the heat pump is able to do its job. Heat pumps are also able to improve the comfort and quality of your home and air. By removing the fuel combustion element, they remove contamination risks from carbon monoxide and nitrous dioxide. Most heat pump models will also feature strong filters that are capable of capturing a lot of dust, pollen, danders, spores, etc. Their more constant air circulation as part of their process also reduces stagnation in local air, and they've been found to outperform standard central air conditioning in regulating and managing humidity. When they're installed properly, they're also capable of enjoying a longer lifespan and lower maintenance costs than many other devices. So, specifically speaking, how do heat pumps function versus classic systems? We'll first look at a water heater, which is commonly powered by gas or electricity. A standard electric tank water heater, for example, uses electricity to warm an implement within the tank that directly heats the water. It's a simple and a straightforward process, and it contributes in turn to a simple and less expensive installation cost, but it's also not fully efficient. An electric tank water heater will typically score from 90 to 95% efficiency, while a tankless electric can do better at usually around 98 or even 99. The heat pump, by comparison, will employ its heat movement approach to pull warm air in, and it uses that air to turn its refrigerant into a heated gas, which is compressed around the water tank to transfer the heat into the water until the refrigerant is then cool and returns to liquid, and the cycle repeats itself. The whole process, again, is powered by electricity, and the standard heat pump water heater can reach efficiency levels that range anywhere from 200 to 350%. This efficiency level will also create greater energy savings as it requires much less energy consumption to create its desired results. And that tends to offset any higher installation costs that involve more requirements to complete it. Additionally, we have a heat pump compared to a classic heating or cooling appliance. What's the difference there? Well, the big difference is the function. Both a standard AC unit, air conditioning unit, and a furnace each perform one service, either heating or cooling. Many furnace systems run on gas, while AC units commonly use electricity. Like a standard water heater, a gas furnace will use energy to create heat, which is a simple process, but as mentioned before, loses out on some efficiency. An AC unit actually operates very similarly to a heat pump in its cooling function, but on the flip side, it can't effectively perform heating without a partnered furnace unit. A heat pump HVAC system, on the other hand, is able to perform both cooling and heating on its own, moving warm air indoors or outdoors as needed. It also performs significantly more efficiently than a gas-powered furnace, as we've touched on here. And while it and AC units perform comparably in a warm climate, its utility really stands out in the ability to perform heating when necessary and at efficiency levels that generate significantly more savings on energy usage. Now, against the advantages that a heat pump does offer, one of the main considerations to weigh is something that's been mentioned a couple of times already, an upfront cost. This is represented by a combination of the device's cost plus the cost for installation. Around Goleta, the cost of a heat pump water heater can range between $1,500 and $3,000. And for an HVAC device, a ductless one, which doesn't require ductwork in the home to operate, can cost between $500 and $1,800, which notably can change depending on how many rooms and units you want to incorporate in the system. While a ducted system can range from $4,200 up to around $7,600. Heat pumps also face higher installation costs due to the potential needs that they have for upgraded electrical wiring, space requirements that may complicate the installation process. Due to their size, there may be fewer options where you can locate them, as well as the potential need for new refrigerant lines or possibly upgraded or even installed ducting. The labor for the installation process is then added on to that. Now, while upfront costs may be higher for these devices, it is counterweight against the energy savings that are created by the heat pump's efficiency, which lets them operate while consuming a lot less power than their competition. The fact that Goleta's climate is nearly optimal for heat pump functions further maximizes their performance and the benefits you get from this. And coming up in the program, you'll also get to learn about a few more opportunities that are available to reduce these costs involved with installing heat pump devices. So one of the most important factors in maximizing the benefits of a heat pump system is a proper and successful installation process. The features of homes and heat pumps can both vary significantly. The nature of your home is really important in determining what type of heat pump is going to work best for you. Do you need a ducted appliance or do you work with a ductless mini split? And are you looking to use a single or a multi-zone system? Moreover, the recency of heat pump popularity means that not all contractors have the experience or knowledge yet to expertly install them. If you're going to get a heat pump, it's really important that you find a qualified contractor for the job, someone who can correctly execute on the technical requirements to do the installation, but also explain and plan with you for the maintenance processes and ensure that you are fully informed as a customer about the performance and efficiency capabilities, as well as the safety factors of the model that you've chosen. There are a few resources that are available to help you find the right contractor to get the job done. The Switches On is a free online database specifically for people who live in California, which can identify contractors who are experienced with heat pumps and who operate in and around your zip code or your city. Another database available with nationwide coverage is run by Rewiring America, which you can cross-reference with the switches on results to further inform your search if you want. Later on in our program, you'll also learn about how 3C Ren's concierge energy services can also be able to help you with your particular electrification project specifically. As you search for contractors, you should obtain quotes and estimates from a few different options. You should check out their profiles and their websites to gauge their experience and their knowledge of heat pumps conceptually, because the better qualified the contractor you hire, the more beneficial your heat pump installation will end up being. And a really key part of that process, again, is to ask the right questions. You want to ensure that both you and your contractor understand the device that you've chosen and the expected outcome and performance once it's operational. These include questions about logistics. For example, where will the outside unit be placed and how noisy will it be? Does the placement account for that factor? How capable is this unit meant to be with cold conditions? What are its efficiency ratings? Will the electrical panel, for example, need to be upgraded to accommodate the device? You can pose these kinds of questions both in your search to compare the answers you get and once you're working with a contractor so you can ensure that they're on top of the job. And the more you know about your system, its features, and its requirements, the more accurate your expectations can be, and the more prepared you'll be to understand the maintenance and the safety considerations. You may also want to ask your contractor to evaluate your home's overall efficiency, because heat pumps operate more efficiently in a more efficient total system. So if you can upgrade your home with improved insulation and fix leaky elements and address those concerns before installing a heat pump, the more efficient your heat pump will operate and the more you'll wind up being able to save. So heat pumps are an important part of Golida's efforts to advance electrification in our communities. Why exactly is electrification a significant goal for the city? Well, one big reason is the current public policy priorities at both the state and local levels in California. Several recent policy developments have moved significantly towards encouraging or even mandating building decarbonization involving heat pumps in the state. And building decarbonization refers to the reduction of greenhouse gases that are emitted by buildings during their construction and their operation. For example, the California Energy Commission's 2025 Energy Plan established energy performance requirements that made heat pumps the effective standard for compliance in new home construction. The related compliance manuals back that up, providing guidance leading towards heat pumps for nearly all contexts in single-family residential buildings. There's also a possibility, though unconfirmed, that the California Air Resources Board may consider sometime in the next few years possible regulations that will require heating appliances will be replaced with zero-emission devices. So Goleta is introducing its heat pump program to align with the general trend of building regulations at higher levels, and it's meant to start guiding residents towards where they may be required to be not too far in the future. Electrification is also a main policy focus for the city of Goleta itself, and it's been highlighted in several of the city's major policies and guiding documents. The city's strategic energy plan, for instance, prioritizes transitioning to renewable energy and boosting energy efficiency. The Planning and Environmental Review Department's annual work program includes electrification as a major initiative for community planning. And the city has recently enacted new REACH codes related to energy performance and EVs, intended to continue incentivizing improved energy efficiency and methods for replacing fossil fuel-powered devices with electric alternatives. Goleta also supports electrification because it creates several benefits for our citizens. These include the advantages covered earlier with heat pumps, safety, comfort, and efficiency, but one of the most prominent is one that's also been mentioned before, and that is energy cost savings. Thanks mostly to their efficiency, heat pumps can help households substantially reduce their energy consumption and spending. Research has indicated that nationwide, the average household is estimated to save around $370 annually on energy costs by switching to heat pump HVAC systems. This actually tracks closely with a 2023 study conducted around the Bay Area, which identified 380 estimated annual savings switching from gas to electric appliances. And that number went even higher, closer to 495 estimated when switching to high efficiency appliances like heat pumps. For water heaters, as opposed to HVAC, savings have been estimated as high as even $550 annually. This is influenced in many cases by the cost of the energy sources involved, like electricity and gas prices. Savings increase significantly when you switch away from devices that run on electricity and delivered fuels, thanks again to the much greater efficiency of a heat pump and the difference in its energy consumption. Due to pricing considerations, a switch from natural gas to heat pumps yields less outright savings, though research in 2025 indicated that gas prices have overall been rising about 60% faster than electricity in the United States. And these trends suggest that the amount that you save from switching to heat pumps from natural gas may grow in the coming years. I'd also urge you not to forget to talk to your contractor about your overall home efficiency. If you can upgrade your insulation and fix those leaks before you install your heat pump, the improved efficiency in that system will boost these energy savings even further. Another benefit to electrification is the emission reductions and the impact that that has on our environment. A 2023 greenhouse gas inventory for California showed that an estimated 15 to 17% of the state's emissions came from residential buildings. And within the built environment, the heating for water and space was responsible for nearly 90% of the emissions that are generated by buildings overall. Data from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory showed that nationally, switching to electric heat pumps can reduce a household's carbon emissions by an average of 2.5 up to 7.5 tons, depending on what fuel source you're switching away from. And that is roughly equivalent to the carbon dioxide emissions of almost 4 average homes' energy uses throughout a year, which is not insignificant. Speaking more locally, emission reductions have a particular impact right here in Goleta as well. An assessment of 2020 data found that energy use, both from electricity and natural gas, accounted for 40% of Goleta's total greenhouse gas emissions. And of that 40%, the use of natural gas in buildings accounted for 40% of that amount. So electrification can have a significant effect on emissions reduction and environmental protection right here in our own community. Reducing these emissions from heating appliances will also create health benefits for households and the broader public. Adopting heat pumps can significantly reduce the amount of fine particulate matter that's expelled by fuel and gas appliances, as well as less efficient electric systems, including pollutants like nitrogen dioxide and ammonia, which will create cleaner air that's less likely to trigger or aggravate an issue with a respiratory illness or a cardiac event. Heat pumps also improve humidity regulation and air circulation, which can reduce the growth of mold and mildew indoors while keeping indoor air cleaner during things like outdoor smoke events, during large fires, for example. Studies from organizations including the American Lung Association have indicated that these improvements could prevent thousands of hospital visits and even premature deaths. A heat pump HVAC system is also particularly tends to run more quietly than a standard heating device, which can potentially offer additional benefits such as better sleep and reduced stress, as well as the health perks of accomplishing those. Now, the City of Goleta is only one organization that's working to lower the barriers to the success of electrification in our community. There are multiple government agencies, not-for-profits, and other groups that have launched programs to reduce obstacles to home electrification, including financial ones. Beyond the city's new heat pump permit fee waiver program, the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District is currently offering a heat clean program, to provide funding for replacing a wood-burning fireplace and stove, specifically with an electric heat pump or a fireplace insert. The standard funds available for installing a heat pump or an electric fireplace can total $5,000 and $2,500 respectively. Plus, if you happen to live in a qualifying low-income household or neighborhood, those maximums can rise to as much as $12,000 or $7,000, again, respectively. APCD is currently accepting applications and expects to receive more funding for this program. So I encourage you to visit their website displayed here to learn more about the program details and how you can apply. And I believe we're fortunate enough to have Emily Waddington from the APCD herself in the audience today, who has kindly made herself available to answer questions about this program in our Q&A. So I thank you very much for your help with that, Emily. And now I will turn things over to one of our panelists, 3CE's Spencer Brandt, so that we can continue learning about electrification incentives, those currently available from 3CE, excuse me. Sorry. Spencer, I will give control to you.
Thank you very much, Jason. And don't worry if you made the mistake of 3CE and 3C Ren. We understand our acronyms are quite confusing. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Spencer Brandt, and I serve as the Community Relations Manager for Central Coast Community Energy, or 3CE. I'm also a resident of the Goleta Valley and your neighbor, so I am delighted to be here today to give an overview of what Central Coast Community Energy is and some of our energy programs that are available for customers in the city of Goleta. First, I want to start with who are we? 3CE is the not-for-profit public agency that is responsible for electricity generation for communities all along the Central Coast. Southern California Edison continues to manage the transmission and distribution of that energy, and they maintain the lines and the infrastructure. 3CE provides the electricity from renewable sources like solar, storage, wind, and geothermal. We service 30 cities across 5 counties, and we proudly began serving the city of Goleta in 2021. And if you're wondering if you're our customer, you probably are, and you might not even know it. 95% of customers in the city of Goleta receive service from 3CE. We're a public agency, which means that we're governed by a board of directors that includes your local elected officials and city and county staff. We're proud to be one of the first community choice aggregators in California to have received an A credit rating. This prudent financial planning allows us to save customers money because we only bill for the cost of serving customers. That means the cost of electricity, staffing, and services. And we're locally based. We have 4 offices across the region, including one in Santa Barbara County, which we just opened on Monday of this week. That means that when you call our customer support line, you'll be speaking to a real person located in California and our team of energy advisors who are located here on the Central Coast, ready to serve you. In 2025, we delivered 1.5 million megawatt hours of renewable electricity. That's enough to power more than 350,000 homes entirely from clean energy. We also provided $11 million in rebates to customers, which I'm really excited to talk more about shortly. I'm also excited to share that this January, our policy board of directors voted to decrease our generation rates by an average of 5% in Southern California Edison territory. This is further demonstration that when the cost of energy is lower to us, we can pass those savings on to our customers. I'd also like to touch on a variety of financial assistance programs that we offer to our customers. Those include CARE and FARA, which provide between an 18% and 35% discount on total bill costs. The Medical Baseline Program for customers with critical medical equipment in the home, and a number of other opportunities for customers that may be behind on their bills. More information is available on our website at 3ce.org. We're on a path to deliver 100% clean and renewable energy. By October 2028, renewable energy is projected to make up at least 69% of our energy mix. And we do this by building new renewable energy resources, like the SunZia Wind Energy Project in New Mexico. This project began delivering 300 megawatts of power to our customers in March of this year, and it's the largest wind energy project in all of North America. We also work with smaller local energy projects, including energy storage, solar, and as you'll see in the example on the screen, landfill biogas. The Regen Bioenergy Project in Monterey County captures landfill gas and turns it into baseload renewable energy. Now, what you've all been waiting for, I want to talk about some of the rebates that we offer to our customers. First, I want to talk about our most popular program, Electrify Your Ride. We offer rebates between $500 and $3,500 for the purchase of a qualifying battery electric vehicle. If you're income qualified, plug-in hybrid vehicles are also eligible. This program is available for used electric vehicles as well as new ones. And here's how it works. You purchase your vehicle, you submit your application through our website. Purchases made between August 1st of last year and September 30th of this year can be submitted by the September 30th deadline this year to be eligible for the rebate. Once you have your EV, you may want a charger at home, and we can help with that too. We offer $3,000 to offset the cost of EV charger equipment and installation. This is a separate rebate from the vehicle rebate, and you can apply for both together or independently in any order that you choose. We also offer what's called an EV readiness rebate, which covers pre-wiring for your home for EV charger installation. This program funds level 2 chargers that are either hardwired or designed to plug into a 240 volt outlet. So, like the vehicle rebate, you complete this purchase ahead of time, install it first, and then gather your documentation and submit at our website the application 3ce.org. Beyond transportation, we offer a number of rebates to help electrify homes, to replace fossil fuels and wood-burning appliances with cleaner, more efficient alternatives. This program, Electrify Your Home, really covers four main categories of equipment: heat pump water heaters, heat pump HVAC systems, induction cooktops and ranges, and specifically for renters, portable heat pump space conditioners. You can see on this slide the corresponding rebate amounts for each of those measures. We also offer $1,000 for pre-wiring, which covers the electrical work needed to support a new electric appliance. Additionally, for multifamily building owners and property managers, this program can provide up to $100,000 per project. A few things to know about eligibility. You need to be a 3CE customers, as you do with each of our programs. Renters, homeowners, and property managers can all apply. The project must be properly permitted, and permits need to be finalized before you submit your application. That's why we're really excited to hear about the new offering from the City of Goleta, which can help you avoid some of those building permit costs. Contractors can also apply on your behalf. And so rebates can be assigned directly to the contractor and deducted upfront from your project cost if you so choose. In practice, you may not need to pay the full price out of pocket and wait for the reimbursement check. Your contractor can just reduce the invoice by the rebate amount. There's a simple rebate assignment form on our website to make that arrangement official. And finally, I want to share a program that's particularly relevant for anyone involved in housing construction or a homeowner interested in putting an ADU in their backyard. This is our new construction electrification program. This program provides incentives for building all electric housing from the ground up. So the idea is simple. If you're already building, it costs very little to go all electric, and the long-term benefits of building occupants are significant. A lot of the things that Jason was talking about earlier: cleaner indoor air, lower operating costs, more efficient appliances. And as we've heard, a lot of building standards are really encouraging this technology in new construction. Homeowners building an accessory dwelling unit or ADU can be eligible for $5,000 per unit, up to $10,000 per project. One thing not mentioned on the slide I'd like to highlight is that we also have an eligibility for homeowners that are rebuilding after a governor declared natural disaster. We also have incentives for multifamily housing at different rebate amounts, both for affordable and market rate housing. Importantly, as with each of these programs, 3CE rebates can be stacked with other incentive programs. So if you're already taking advantage of state or federal programs or other local programs, our rebates can be combined. Application process is to, again, submit online after project completion. To qualify, the project must be built to all electric standards across all energy needs. That means water heating, space heating, cooking, no gas infrastructure. You'll need to submit a certificate of occupancy or notice of completion, along with written confirmation from the applicable building inspector that no gas infrastructure was installed in the build. And that's all I have for you today. I'm sharing here my contact information and a QR code that you can scan. This will take you to our website to learn more about the programs that I was just talking about. I'm really excited to be here today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have later in the program. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Spencer, for that deep dive on the opportunities and the work with 3CE. Really appreciate all the work that you all do for us here in Goleta. So we'll now welcome our next panelist, Naomi Newman with 3C Ren, who can describe the programs and support that they are currently offering. Naomi, if I can just get my screen share to work.
Sure. Happy to introduce myself in the meantime. Thanks, Jason, and thanks to the City of Goleta for inviting 3C Ren today to talk about our programs. My name is Naomi Newman, and I work for the County of Santa Barbara, and part of that role is working on the Home Energy Savings Program of the Tri-County Regional Net Energy Network, also known as 3C Ren. And I want to apologize. I chose a May gray background for this title slide, assuming that would be our weather today, and that does not seem to be the case, which is great. But yeah, next slide, please, Jason. It is fitting that Jason had a momentary confusion between 3C and 3C Ren because it's a super common one we get all the time. So just wanted to take a second to display maps. Spencer said 3CE covers a large portion of the territory, and 3C Ren, we work in Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo County. So if you're a City of Goleta resident, you're eligible to take part in both of our programs. Next slide. So 3C Ren does not work with the procurement of energy. We help produce energy savings throughout the region. So 3C Ren is a collaboration between Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo County, as I mentioned. And our programs aim to reduce energy use for a more sustainable, equitable, and economically vibrant Central Coast. Our programs are actually funded by the CPUC based on a little ratepayer dollar, a little bill that you have on your utility bill. And that allows us to take those dollars, which historically have been used throughout the state, and really focus on our region and bringing those dollars back to areas that historically have missed out on those opportunities. Next slide, please. Just to highlight our services, we offer incentives, training, and technical assistance. Today, I'm mainly going to be focusing on the incentive side, but I really encourage you to all, if you happen to be in the field or interested, to visit our website and you can learn more. But we're really excited to be able to help all different people, all different industries electrify. Next slide, please. Now, besides talking about our program specifically, Spencer mentioned that you have the opportunities to stack all these incentives. So I wanted to show these couple of slides. They mention programs that we've already discussed, like the Air Pollution Control District and 3CE, but as well as 3C Ren. There's also a program called 3C Beach, which I will get into later. And all of these programs are stackable. So if you have a project, I really encourage that you take advantage of all these programs and save as much money as possible and really bring down the cost that Jason mentioned earlier, make one equal to gas appliances or gas installs. So this is for heat pump HVAC. And if you go to the next slide, I also have one for heat pump water heaters. And again, as Jason mentioned, you will receive these slides. And one thing I do want to note on this slide is the Golden State Rebates, which is a state program. That is the only one that can't be combined with 3C Ren. But it is worthwhile looking into that program if that is something you're interested in. I just want to note that that is the one program that is not stackable, and that is because it also uses dollars from the CPUC, so it's considered not eligible. But that being said, there is a lot of opportunity to stack programs. Next slide. Another program I wanted to briefly highlight, even though it is paused currently, they did have enough funding allocated for 2 years, but they've run out of funding for 2026, is there is a whole home electrification and statewide incentive program. Now, this is something that is eligible for everyone throughout the state, but you have to do at least 3 large switches in your home. So if you're looking to doing your heat pump water heater, your HVAC, and something like induction at the same time, this is a great opportunity, especially if you're looking to next year, you can get a really large amount of rebate. So again, this is paused for the remainder of 2026, but it is something I wanted to highlight because it is a really great program to take advantage of. And I also did want to highlight that if you are an income qualified customer or reside in a community that is considered disadvantaged, PG&E and Southern California Edison, I know we're in Southern California Edison territory, they have energy savings assistance programs, which is services at no cost, including some retrofits and appliance upgrades. So wanted to highlight that as well before I jump into our own program. So next slide, please, Jason. So I mentioned today, I'm here for 3C Ren, and I love to dive into our single family incentives. Most energies that save energy are eligible, so that is something that is easy as just upgrading a heat pump water heater from electric to heat pump. Even though they both use electricity, it still reduces energy. Anything that also switches from gas to electric is eligible as well. These incentives are assessed through 3C Ren enrolled contractors, and we do have a list of those on our website, and there are plenty that serve the Goleta area. The actual incentives that you get depend on the amount of energy that your project will save. So if you have a really old a really old hot water heater and you are upgrading to a heat pump, that will give you a really large amount of savings versus if you have a kind of like an old resistance electric water heater and you're upgrading to heat pump water heater, you still will get savings, but that will be a lower amount. We basically calculate the amount of energy that you will save and your projects, your incentives come from that, but usually it's between 750 to 105,000 depending on the project. And to be eligible, you do need to receive gas or electricity from SoCalGas or Southern California Edison. Next slide. As I mentioned before, because our program focuses on saving energy, there's a lot of opportunities that you can use to get incentives besides just heat pumps or hot water heaters. Anything that saves energy, including upgrading your windows, including adding insulation into your home. Things like pool heat pumps even account. A smart thermostat. So really anything like that, we really just want to encourage you to think outside the box. There's a lot of great opportunities you have to take advantage of our program besides just these larger projects. Next slide. And we also do have an equity eligibility criteria program. So if you are considered an equity in our program, you can receive higher savings. I'm not going to go through these because you're going to be able to get the slides and they can be quite text heavy. But as you can see, based on the right, by taking advantage of this program, this family was able to get a 7,300 project essentially for free. So I wanted to throw it up there in case anyone is eligible. It's really great to take advantage of. Next slide. And I also wanted to just clarify that we do have a different equity criteria for Ventura versus Santa Barbara. So just make sure that you are looking at the Santa Barbara one to see if you're eligible. Next slide. And this is a new program that we are partnering with at the County of Ventura that's really exciting. It's called 3C Beach, and it basically is a program where we're trying to get a better understanding of how electrification improves the comfort and air quality of a home. So this is a pilot program where families who want to join have to agree to have their homes monitored from 9 to 12 months before and after they get upgrades. This is something that just will be air quality monitoring inside and outside the home. And you get free upgrades, including things like a heat pump water heater, induction, And then basically by collecting this data throughout the year, we can get a better understanding of the additional benefits, like Jason mentioned, and really get some quantitative results that we can use. So besides free upgrades, you also get $500 and you also get a member of the team who will follow your project from start to finish and really help provide that one-on-one service. So this is something that's really exciting. And if you reside in any of the three counties in our territory, you are eligible for this program. Next slide. So this is a lot. These programs can be confusing and have different requirements. But luckily there is a really easy way to keep track of all the incentives. Next slide. As Jason mentioned earlier, we do have a concierge service. I actually serve as the English concierge. So this is a program that's available in Spanish and English. And you can call and text this number or email us, and you can provide as much information as you would like about what projects you're looking for, whether you already have bids, whether you're in the start and just exploring, and we can provide one-on-one service, let you know what you're eligible for, how you can apply, help you connect with contractors, and really be a source of comfort and information throughout your project. So really recommend you use this service. And next slide. Yeah, thank you so much. I wanted to mention that we do offer trainings and webinars. Some of these are more geared to building professionals, but if you happen to be interested in learning more about how some of these technologies work, we do have a lot of intro classes as well. And if there is anyone on the call who happens to be an HVAC tech or a tradesperson, we do actually have an exciting home electrification contractor boot camp that's coming up. It's going to be in person in San Luis Obispo County. And my colleague is actually attending this webinar, Paul Wang, who is help facilitating that, and he can answer any questions. But thank you so much to Jason for allowing me to go over some of our programs, and looking forward to answering any questions that you may have in the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you both, Naomi and Spencer, for your great explainers about the many resources that we have available here to electrify Goleta. I should note as well that our own permit fee waiver program was designed and intended to stack and complement the many services and incentives that you're currently offering. And I'm always impressed by all the ways that you work to support people in our communities. And I think we're fortunate to have groups like 3CE and 3C-REN around here who are so experienced with both the concepts and the policies that they're working with. So it's great to have you. Thank you for sharing all of that. So this concludes the presentation portion of the webinar program. I want to thank everyone for sticking with us, and I hope this information has been helpful for you. We now have the remainder of our time available to conduct a Q&A and let our panelists answer any questions that our audience may have. As a reminder, you can use the Q&A feature in the Zoom settings toolbar to send in a question, and my colleagues Dana and Angelin will be helping us facilitate the process.
Yes, should anybody have any questions they'd like to verbally ask the panelists, you're welcome to use the raise hand function and we'll work to unmute you and you should be able to ask your question. So if anybody has any questions regarding the programs that we've listed today and some of the incentives, please feel free to use the raise hand function and we will unmute you. Thank you. Looks like we have our first question written in the Q&A portion, and this is to Spencer. Will the 3CE rebates for solar installation be restarted, and is it retroactive? I just installed a couple of weeks ago, just after it was paused. So is there a solar installation rebate from 3CE?
It's a great question. We do not have a solar rebate at this time. This past fiscal year, we had a residential battery rebate program that was open, and unfortunately, the program is fully subscribed, so it was paused in mid-March. We anticipate that our policy board will approve changes to the program this summer that will bring a version of the program back under what's called a virtual power plant. More information on that in the future, we are happy to share. I would really direct you to our website to stay abreast of the latest updates, 3ce.org.
Thank you, Spencer, and I hope that answered your question, Karen. We have another question in from Stephen Hare. For the 3CE 100K multifamily incentive per project, what is the maximum number of projects that one property manager can apply for? My condo complex consists of several dozen small buildings, and each building will need electrical upgrades. Each unit only has a 100 amp service.
That is a great question. And I think that for questions that are specific to your situation, I would love to talk more with you offline to make sure that I fully understand the details of your situation. So I'm going to go ahead and put my email in the chat again and encourage you to send me an email and we can go over some specifics offline.
Just want to note that Spencer's email is listed right there on the screen, sbrandt@3ce.org. Stephen, if you'd like to follow up on that specific project. We also have another question from George. Let's do an example to get an idea of the economics. Assume a typical Goleta home that has no cooling, but just wants to replace its gas-fired furnace. For purposes of this question, assume with no low-income help. What's the likely cost after incentive and rebates? Does anybody like to take a swing at that question?
I can note that depending on whether you were doing a ductless system or duct system or mini split, HVAC or heat pump HVAC does have quite the wide variety in cost. But in terms on the incentive sides, if you stack, you should be able to get around $3,000, which is a significant reduction. Jason, I don't know if you had in your previous slides an estimate for this area. I also don't want to put you on the spot.
No, yeah, I'm thinking back to the slides. I believe the estimate for local costs for a ductless system could range from between, I believe it's something like 800 to 1800. Although, as you said a moment ago, there are a lot of factors that can influence these costs, including in the case of a ductless system, how many units you're going to incorporate into your home, how many different areas that you're going to be looking to cover with it. A ducted system tends to be more costly. I believe it's between about 3,600 to 7,200 locally, because you have to account for the ducting that's involved, either putting it in or incorporating existing ducting in the home. But it can be difficult to provide an estimate on a particular situation given the number of variables that have to be calculated, unfortunately.
Yes, and to note from previously on the slides, unit costs for ductless range from 500 to 1,800, as Jason mentioned, and unit costs with ducts, 4,200 to 7,600. So it really depends on how many units you're wanting to put into your home, how much ducting is going to be involved, if there's going to be a panel upgrade or not. But from what we've heard, you could potentially get up to $3,000 off regarding incentives. Thanks, Dana, for also answering that within the question chat. And George asked a follow-up question here. Who would I go to get a good estimate for the cost and then the offsetting rebate? If anybody would like to jump in on that.
Naomi, could that be the concierge service that's offered?
Yes, we can absolutely help with giving an estimate on all the programs that you are available for and stacking in terms of the cost. And if anyone else wants to jump in, I think because it is so individualized, the best way to get an estimate would to be get multiple bids from different contractors. And then you can get a good idea of the different types that are available and what is the best for your home. But we can absolutely help with getting an estimate of the rebates that are available at their concierge program.
I think that's exactly right, Naomi. The best approach is likely to get a few different inputs from different operators and then make a comparison to see what they're able to offer and what it might turn out to work with them.
We still have a few minutes left for any more questions if folks are interested in asking. Either in the question chat, you're welcome to be brave and request to be unmuted and speak in the meeting as well. Oh, we have a follow-up question from George. Thank you so much for asking all these questions. Do you have a list of contractors or operators?
3C Ren does have a list of contractors that are enrolled in our program, and I don't think I have access to the chat, but perhaps it's a link that I could pass on to you, Jason, and then you could send out in a follow-up. I'm not sure if 3CE or the city has a similar list, but as Jason mentioned, the Switches On is also a great resource for finding contractors that are available in your region.
Yes, I would second that as a great resource.
And I can absolutely do that, Naomi. We will highlight that link and resource along with the slides and other materials that are sent out following the program.
Dana has dropped a link to the switcheson.org/contractor-finder. That should be a good start to find folks who are doing electrification work in this community. And I believe also 3C Ren has that list, and we'll be able to drop that in the chat as well. We will also be following up with an email to all the attendees, which should have all the relevant links and the information that we've discussed today. So we should be able to get that out to y'all for your reference.
The contractor list that 3C Ren has is at that same link that I first put in there, 3c-ren.org/for-residents. And you just go down to contractor directory.
Yes, thank you so much, Dana.
I think we have a minute or so left for any last questions in our program.
And thank you for attending, George, and for your questions. Those are really helpful, I imagine, for the rest of the audience as well. So thanks for speaking up.
I think we're coming up on our hour here. Well, in that case, I think this concludes the Q&A session and our overall program for today. I want to give a huge thank you to both of you, Spencer and Naomi, for joining me and giving your time and your knowledge over the past hour, as well as all of the other hard work that you do day to day. Big thank you as well to Dana and Angelin, and the biggest thank you to everyone in our audience for your time and attention. One final reminder that the program has been recorded and will be provided to attendees later on next week, as well as made available long-term through the city's YouTube channel and elsewhere, as well as the additional resources that we've touched on here today. So just thank you again, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.